Yo, what's poppin' Pokepals? Rare TCG coming at you with a brand new video. Today we are taking a look at Mismagius EX. It's a powerful new EX that came out in the Phantasmal Flame set, which has the ability Swirling Pros. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, whenever your opponent's active Pokemon moves to the bench during their turn, their new active Pokemon is now confused. Essentially, what that means is if we boss up, or we counter catcher, or prime catcher, or pretty much just gust a Pokemon into the active position, and our opponent does not want that Pokemon in the active position, if they retreat and Mismagius is in the active position, their new active Pokemon just automatically becomes confused, essentially making all of their attacks a coin flip, whether or not they deal damage to us. To help support Mismagius EX, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I really didn't know what to support Mismagius with. I mean, it kind of works as a standalone Pokemon, but it also doesn't work as a standalone Pokemon. It's kind of hard to explain, but you'll see when I do some showcasing. But to my best ability, I paired it with Bonsly because Bonsly has the Blubbering attack for no energy cost. It does 10 damage and your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. So that's a great way to confuse our opponent's active if they're not putting any bench Pokemon that really need to be bossed up or anything like that. And then what we could do is we could retreat into Mismagius EX on our next turn and get that going. So Bonsly's a great starting Pokemon. We also play Xerneas, which also came out in Phantasmal Flames or Mega Evolutions. It came out in one of those sets. I think it's Mega Evolutions. And it has the Geogate attack. For 1 Psychic Energy, you can search your deck for 3 Psychic Pokemon and put them onto your bench. That's a great way to get our little misses out onto the bench. And finally, I paired it with Lillie's Clefairy because there's a couple of Dragon Pokemon in the format right now, like Dragapult, and we want to be hitting them for super effective damage. So if we can hit them for super effective damage and they flip a tails, they're just automatically knocked out. So it's almost a one-shot. To help Mismagius, we also play the new stadium Dizzying Valley. If you have a confused Pokemon in play, both yours or your opponent's, they don't recover from that special condition when they evolve or devolve. So the great way to get rid of confusion is you either have to retreat your Pokemon, which they obviously can't do because Mismagius is in the active, or they have to evolve their Pokemon, which they obviously also can't do because Dizzying Valley is in play. So having confusion constantly in play makes every attack that your opponent tries to do a coin flip. So to help with all the gusting, because our opponent does kind of see it coming and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to put a Pokemon that I don't want confused in the active spot now before Mismagius gets set up, we have a couple gusting options. We play 2 copies of Boss's Orders. That's pretty much my staple around here. We play 1 copy of Counter Catcher, and we also play the Prime Catcher as our ace spec, as another form of gusting. If our opponent is able to get a couple of heads off, though, I do pair it with the Handheld Fan. That way, if they do get a heads off, we could just start moving that energy around to Pokemon that don't want that energy. And that's also a way to infuriate my opponent. And that's pretty much it. I mean, everything else is pretty much just standard stuff here. Boss's Orders, Buddy-Buddy Poffin, Hilda's, Iono's, Lillie's. We play 2 copies of Tulip instead of like a couple of copies of Rod. That way we can get those Pokemon into our hand easier and into the active position faster. And of course, we play 2 copies of Wondrous Patch because we didn't have the room for Gardevoir, but I mean, Gardevoir is like almost a staple in every Psychic type deck. And that's pretty much it. I've been playtesting on the ladder and it's been doing pretty well, so I hope it does well while I showcase it. Before we hop into a couple of matches, as you guys can see in the corner up here, we got our little board. For those of you who don't know or are new to the channel, we have objectives that we have to try to complete while we are showcasing our decks. Our main objective is the same for pretty much every video. It's to win a match or 2, depending on how well the deck is performing. I say or 2 because I might want to win 3 or 4 matches. Our first side objective for today is to don't allow my opponent's active Pokemon to damage us. Essentially what that means is once my opponent's active Pokemon is in the active position, I don't want it to attack us. I want it to keep flipping tails until we knock it out with Mismagius. That's pretty much it. Also, I'm going to move that allow because it's like hanging off the border. And finally, the side objective number 2 is confuse at least 3 Pokemon in 1 game. So let's hit the ladder and let's see if we could not only showcase Mismagius EX beautifully, but also see if we could complete our side objectives. All right, here we are in game 1, starting things off with the Bonsly. Very nice. So I don't know if you guys can hear it or not, but I am recovering from a cold, hence why I haven't been recording. Been very nasally the last couple days, but I mean, that's kind of to be expected with me because I have very bad sinuses. Actually, we could completely set up a Mismagius right now with this. This is actually a pretty good hand. And we could dig, getting rid of all this energy from my deck. Because I either have too much energy or not enough energy. That seems to be the common denominator with this game. And we cannot attack because it's our first turn. But yeah, I am recovering from a cold. Yesterday, I just started feeling better. And I was like, oh, let me go record a video for you guys. And PTCGL was down for maintenance. Which, honestly, I don't even know why they were down for maintenance. Because they touched this game and it's acting worse than it was the other day when I was playing it. Like, game keeps freezing. I was playtesting before, and somebody used a Devo on my Mismagius, and my Misdreavus was literally stuck in the active position. I couldn't attach any energy to it. I couldn't attack with it. I couldn't retreat. I couldn't attach a tool card to it. I literally couldn't do it. It was just like a sitting duck. I couldn't do anything to it. So I was just like, oh, this is wonderful. Thank you so much, PTCGL. I couldn't even evolve it. It was literally just stuck there. It was just a blank card in the active position. So I was like, oh, great. It's like every time they touch this game, they mess it up. What I would like is I would like the Swirling Valley. I think that would be my best bet right now. And then just to confuse this guy with Bonsly's attack. Because I did see that they got a rare candy off of that Arven. So that tells me that they probably have Dragapult in their hand. And they got themselves Buddy-Buddy. That's fine too. Or what I could do is if I top deck Mismagius, or yeah, just Mismagius. I could put that in on the bench, and then I could just start swinging at Dreepy. Yeah, I guess that's my best bet. Why not? Instead of just playing this whole confusion game. Oh, they attached the bench Dreepy. Okay, well, if we get Mismagius, which we do not. I told you guys, it's either you don't have enough energy or you have too much energy. Let's dig a little more and get rid of all this energy. You either get too much or not enough. Also, I wanted to ask you guys, since I haven't, played in a while, what did you guys think about the Pokopia game that's coming out? I think it's a really fun game. It's got a really cool concept. I've always wanted a game like Pokepark, but with Ditto, and that's kind of like what I'm getting here, mixed with Animal Crossing. Like, I don't know. I think it's a really fun and unique game, and I can't wait to play it. I'm very excited for it. I have seen people complaining like, oh, why is it a $70 game? And honestly, based on what they've shown us so far, I don't even think it's worth $70. Honestly, that's a valid question. But if it's going to be a $70 game, that tells me that there's definitely going to be something more than what they've shown off. They can't just market that type of game for $70, especially when it looks like such an indie game. You know what I mean? So there's definitely some more under the hood there. And they have until March to showcase us what else that they have in store for us with that game. So I'm excited to see what that brings. You do get the Hilda. I'm going to get myself the Mismagius, get myself another energy. And I'm going to put this Mismagius down. I would have loved if I could have bossed up the Cloak, but unfortunately I can't do that just yet. And I don't want to put in the active position, because even though if Mismagius is in the active position and you knock out your opponent, them bringing their opponent into the active position does not confuse them, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I think once Mismagius is in the active position, anytime a Pokemon moves from the bench to the active, they could just be confused. I don't know why it has to be during my opponent's turn. You know what I mean? I think that's ridiculous. And like, if I boss up a Pokemon, that also doesn't confuse them, which is also ridiculous. They're gonna boss me. Okay. That's fine by me, I guess. So, I think Mismagius is underutilized. It should have been more, anytime a Pokemon moves to the active, it's automatically confused. That would be a much better use for this card. They're gonna get the Dragapult, but it's the Dragapult in the active position. Interesting. And they got the Sparkling Crystal, so they're just gonna take out my little miss. That's not great. We have a couple options here. We could just start swinging with Mismagius. That's always an option. And I think that's what I'm going to do here. Yeah, that's definitely what I'm going to do here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boss up this Dracloak, take that guy out, and use Mismagius' attack. Hold on, let me get rid of 2 energy. Let's get myself Clefairy. Yes, that makes the most sense to me. Let's boss up this Dracloak. taking him out. And now with Mismagius' attack, we can actually draw until we have 6 cards in our hands, which is absolutely what we need right now. And there's our Dizzying Valley. Beautiful. So that was a pretty solid move, I have to say. We did confuse 2 Pokemon so far. We've confused the... Oh no, we've only confused 1, right? We've only confused the Dreepy? Yeah, we've only confused the Dreepy. So we could still work on side objective number 2, which is confusing 2 Pokemon in 1 game. Now what I don't like is I have that energy, so that's going to be 300 off the rip. Not good for us. But I can get this little Misdreavus going. They're going to come and get you? That was not your smartest play, my guy. If I were you, I would have retreated into the Draclo. I did notice that my opponent is a very low rank right now. They're I believe it was a Pikachu rank. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to boss up the Dragapult. I'm going to go into my Bonsly, and I'm going to retreat. And that's going to be the end of this Dragapult. I'm going to Iono for a better hand. Getting myself, yeah, I'll take the Wondrous Patch. Beautiful. And I'll put down this little Mismagius, and I'm going to attach this to you in case they want to boss you up. And we're just going to swing for 300, take out the Dragapult, and we get to draw until we have 6 cards. Beautiful. All right. So now we got the train rolling. It's tough getting Mismagius rolling, but once she does get rolling, she's pretty consistent. She's pretty good. And this is exactly why we do play Clefairy for Dragapult specifically. So yeah, and they're just going to concede. Beautiful. All right, here we are in game 2, and I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm pretty sure this is the exact same opponent we just defeated. I think we just matched into him again. I am so sorry, dude. I know you can't see his name because I have it covered up. Yep, it's the exact same guy. I have his name covered up, but I can see his name because the objectives are actually not on my screen. They're on yours because I have them on OBS, not on PTCGL themselves, obviously. But yeah, we have a pretty okay start right now. I'm going to just buddy-buddy for that. I'm going to Arven to get myself the Wondrous Patch. And I'm going to get myself a TM Evo. I think that's my best bet right now. Let's do that. Let's get myself 2 more energies just to thin the deck a little more. We're going to Wondrous Patch onto you. We're going to attach this to you so you can retreat next turn. And we're just going to TM Evo, getting our Mismagiuses in play turn 1. That sounds like a pretty good idea to me. And there we go. All right, and let's see how my opponent decides to retaliate with this information. But going back to what I was saying about the Pokopia, I would literally die for Professor Tangrowth. I love his design. I think he's the cutest thing ever. I do. And I really hope he's not just a one-off character, like he is like able to go into Pokemon Home. You can use him in like Gen 10 or something. Like, I think that would be really, really cool. I think he's really cute. I love him. I'm not really sure what to think about the other Pokemon that is showed off, like Mosslax. And what's the other one called? Pika something? Some kind of Pikachu clone or whatnot. So I'm not quite sure how I feel about those guys yet. I don't know if they're going to be like... They'll probably be like major roles in the game. But they're probably not going to make a debut outside of Pokopia. And the other thing I wanted to ask you guys about is, what do you guys think about... Mega Zeraora? I see a lot of people talking about how, oh, it's just what Mega Luxray should have been. And honestly, I can't say I blame them for thinking that, and we prize our Clefairy. Okay, so I'm not going to take the Ultra Ball. That's why we look. What do I want here? I think I'm just going to get myself a Buddy-Buddy Poffin just to thin a little more. Anyway, as I was saying, I think they're absolutely right. Like, I think they're giving the most random Pokemon Megas. I'm going to be honest. I think like Chimecho, I think is a good choice for a Mega because Chimecho's a pretty weak Pokemon, but at the same time, it's like Chimecho is so weak that I think giving it a Mega is kind of wasteful because it's not going to do much with the 100 base stat increase. You know what I mean? Unless they like completely bork this thing out of its mind. I really don't think a Mega Chimecho is really going to make a difference. Now, what I do like is that because we have the fan... Oh, they're going to boss us. Okay, they're going to take out the Fezandipiti. Fair enough. Okay, my opponent is playing much better this time around. So they are getting their redemption. Good for you, my guy. Proud of you. But yeah, Mega Zeraora, definitely not worth it. He did not deserve a Mega. He's strong enough as he is, and it should have been Luxray. Flygon didn't get a Mega. Milotic didn't get a Mega. Like, there's so many other Pokemon who deserve Megas that just aren't. Ew. Ooh. Sorry. Just sneezed. Still getting over my cold. Thank you to everybody who said bless you, by the way. You're the real ones. Yeah, I just think that there's better Pokemon that deserve Megas. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, what do we do in this situation? I think we're just going to Mismagius. I think that's my best bet. We get a Prime Catcher. Ooh, hold on. Because I could take out somebody on the bench with this Prime Catcher. Or we could just, I don't know. You know what? No. Let's just Lillies. So this hand's kind of dead. We got the Dizzying Valley. That's definitely what we wanted. Let's get this set into action. And let's Ultra Ball here. Let's get rid of Lillie and Tulip. And I'm going to get myself another Mismagius. Just to thin the deck a little bit. And that way my Misdreavuses are more protected on the bench. And we're just going to draw until we have 6 cards. Like I said, it's really frustrating that Confusion doesn't work constantly with Mismagius in the field. Like, it's so annoying to try and confuse Pokemon. If you don't already have them confused, it gets very difficult to try and get that confusion going. Another Dizzying Valley, another card we don't really need. Here's what I can do. I can boss up this new Dragapult now that they've shown that. And that's not going to confuse it, but if they try to retreat back into this Dragapult, that will confuse him. So that's not a bad idea. And we can actually get rid of this Fire Energy and put it on the Duskull. It doesn't make sense for them to have Fire on the Energy on the Duskull, so I mean, that's a pretty good move on my part. Let's move that Fire Energy onto Duskull. And that is also going to put my opponent into a pickle, so that's fine with me. I don't even think we need to boss up this Dragapult, or maybe we want to... Here's what I'm thinking. If I boss this guy up, I can soften him up. And then if I do eventually take out one of them, then they're already set up for Clefairy once Clefairy comes in. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to boss this guy up. That sounds right to me. That might have been a stupid play. That might have been a good play. I don't know just yet. Let's hit for the 150, and then you can draw a couple cards. Got Tulip, which is okay. We have Fez in the discard, but he doesn't get recovered by Tulip, and we get 1 Psychic Energy. Alright, so none of that is really useful. Do they have... Nope, they're just going to Jet Headbutt. That's fine. Now I'm just going to put this Psychic Energy onto Duskull. Here we go. And we have a Psychic Energy in our hand. So we're down on prizes right now, but... Trust me, guys, I'm thinking in the long run here. I think we can make a steady comeback. Do I have a... I do not. I was hoping I had one of those... What do you call? Did I use both of them? Is that why? No, it's prized. I had the Wondrous Patch in the prize. Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to attach this here. And let's just swing. Yeah, let's just swing for 150. Why not? We already have 6 cards in hand, so we don't need to check for that. Ideally, what I do need to do, though, is I need to get this Clefairy out of the prizing. If my opponent happens to take me out this turn, which there's no way I see them powering up a Dragapult unless they get themselves Sparkling Crystal and an Energy right now. Or they could get themselves a Crispin, and then we'd be, in a world of hurt if that happens. They attach the Rescue Board, and they're retreating probably into their... Oh no, they're going into Duskull. Oh, I see what they're doing. They're trying to preserve these guys, but it's not going to help them. So what I could do is I can actually counter catcher up this Dragapult who's weaker and take him out. That might be my best play. We confused what... Oh, they're going to try and attack? Alright, well, they hit themselves. Fine by me. We're going to attach this energy to this Mismagius and get this rolling. I know, these games are very long, very tedious. I do apologize for that, but that's just the nature of this deck. So we're just going to counter catcher up this drag. Or do I want this one? That one or this one? That one or this one? Take a prize now, take a prize later, take a prize now. Let's take a prize now. Why not? Let's hit him. And we get to draw a card for using our attack. We get an Iono. Nice. We'll take that. Do we get Clefairy? Please say yes. That's what we need right now. We do not. We got an Earthen Vessel, though. It's going to get us more energy. Not that we are, you know, struggling for energy right now, but I will take that. And they get themselves the fire energy. Oof. So they are going to be able to Phantom Dive, putting damage counters onto whoever they like. And I'm just going to move that fire energy onto the Duskull. That sounds fine to me. I'm going to move that fire energy to the Duskull. We got the Prime Catcher. That doesn't help me, though, in this situation, does it? Not really. So I think I'm just going to... Earthen Vessel, getting rid of one Iono. Let's get that going. And... Oh, I probably should have Iono'd. That probably would have been the better bet. I'll just Lilies, that's fine. I don't really like this hand anyway. I don't really know what I'm looking for, I just didn't like the hand. What stinks is... I could risk... You know what? I'm gonna risk it for a biscuit. Yeah. No, actually, I'm not gonna risk it for a biscuit, because if they take out... Actually, it doesn't even matter. If they attack me, they're gonna attack me, and they're gonna win. So, I'm gonna risk it for a biscuit and confuse them. So that is their second Pokemon confused. So we need one more confusion to knock off side quest number 2, but I don't think we're gonna get it. Because if I'm able to take this Dragapult out, chances are we're just gonna win. Oh, they might be getting Dusclops. Hold on. I just thought of that. Please tell me your Dusclops is prized. If they Dusclops right now, nope, they're gonna Dreepy. Okay, their Dusclops might be prized. Because if they Dusclops, they could have Dusclops onto my Mismagius, and nope, doesn't matter. They had the fire energy. Oh! Confusion, confusion! Let's go! They got tails. Let's go. You have how much left? 130. Oh, we knocked this guy out. Beautiful. All right. We're going to retreat into this Mismagius, who's healthier and has the energy. And we're just going to swing, taking out the Dragapult. Beautiful. Clutch save right there. Clutch save. And now they can no longer Dusclops or Dusknoir, because that will force us into overtime, which I don't think they want. All right, we're in phenomenal positioning right now, and all I could do right next turn is just boss up the Duskull and take him out, and that'll be a second victory. All they have is Buddy-Buddy Poffin in their hand. Yeah, I think this game's over, guys. We had a clutch victory with that confusion. Unfortunately, we can't cross side objective number 1 off because that Dragapult did do a number on us before we were able to take it down, and they're going to concede. Beautiful. Alright, here we are in Game 3, starting things off with the Bonsly, and I believe it said we were going first as my opponent takes a mulligan. Okay, I don't like the way this looks. I see a bunch of draw engine. Which, by the way, I am thinking about doing like an anti-draw deck. That actually might be fun with all the Alakazams running around. Might want to do that. Maybe like not like a full-fledged video, but maybe like a short video. That might be a fun idea. Alright, let's get myself 2 misses on the field. Let's attach a handheld fan. And we're just going to end my turn there. What I could do is if I top deck an energy, I can Arven for an Earthen Vessel, get rid of that energy, get another one of my... what do you call it? One of my fans for this little miss. And then we could just start setting up this guy on the bench, and then we could start confusing the Dunsparce since they are weak to fighting. So we have a couple options here. And they're just going to pass it to us. Okay, that's fine with me. Looks like they're having a hard time setting things up on their end. I'm not gonna hate on it. Got the Earthen Vessel, we got the Handheld Fan. Let's do that. Let's do this. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's get rid of one Dizzying Valley. I don't mind sacrificing one of those since we play so many. And you know something? I'm just going to start side quest number 2 off. Let's confuse this Dunsparce, making this our first confused Pokemon. And let's see how it goes. I am laughing though, because I've seen a couple people post their own Tauros deck after I posted mine, and not a single one of them, what do you call it? Not a single one of them used the Area Zero Underdepths. Everybody was using the that new stadium that if it's not a dark type Pokemon, like they take damage when they go down, which yeah, that makes sense, but I felt like the Area Zero did more damage, and that's what I noticed about some of those guys, was they weren't hitting the damage enough damage, but they were hitting damage more consistently. So maybe Area Zero isn't the best bet, but if you want to like get a one-off turn, sure, then you can use the Area Zero like I did. But I just thought that was so funny that after I posted my deck of the Tauros build, everybody and their mama posted the Tauros build. But I did see Trust Your Pilot was using the Emolga that I was using as well, so that's not a bad idea by me. Alright, well that was a little annoying. What can I do here? We get Arven. I want an Arven. Do I have another Earthen Vessel? I do! Good, good. And I'm going to get myself the Rescue Board. Why not? So let's get rid of this energy. Let's pop that bad boy going. Let's Wondrous Patch there. Let's attach this to you so that you could retreat. And I mean, we just got game here. It was a very anticlimactic game, but it was game. I was not going to draw. Yeah, that's fine. You could put your 60 damage counters on me with your Vengeful Punch and all that. Doesn't matter to me. I win. And there we go. That is game number 3, another win. Look at us. We have crossed off our main objective. Alright, here we are in game number 4. And actually, Xerneas actually looks like he's going to be able to get himself a good showcasing, since he is the only Pokemon in our active position, and there isn't really much else that we could do at this point, which is good for us in a way. I do see End's Reshiram, which tells me that this is an End Zoroark deck, which was one of my favorite decks before the Pawmot deck came out. If you guys have not seen my Pawmot deck, you guys absolutely need to check that out. That is still my favorite deck. And yes, I did read your comments, and I have made my adjustments to that deck. I've added a Sacred Ash, I've gotten rid of some Nest Balls. Actually, I got rid of both Nest Balls and replaced them with Artisans, and it just flows so much better. Thank you guys so much. I love your comments and your suggestions, because it's always a great idea, which is why I really want to see your comments and suggestions for this deck, because I feel like I'm missing something with this deck. I feel like the consistency is not there, and like I feel like Mismagius was more hyped up than it should have been, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, everybody and their mama was hyping up Mismagius when she got announced, like, oh, the confusion's gonna be busted, oh, this and that about confusion, but I really don't think Mismagius is that broken. Especially because, like I've been saying, you have to be the one to initiate the confusion, essentially. It's not like, oh, anytime a Pokemon enters the active, they're confused. It's, oh, your opponent retreated? Now they're confused. How often does your opponent really retreat in a game, though? That's really the issue. It's not like, oh, I knocked out my opponent's Pokemon, now the new active is confused. I think what they should have done, hear me out for this one, is if your opponent's active Pokemon, oh, rather, if your opponent has a new active Pokemon, they're automatically confused with Mismagius in the active. But if Mismagius leaves the active, then they're no longer confused. I think that would have been a much more reliable ability and a much better ability. But that could just be me blowing smoke up my rear end. I don't know. Alright, using their TM Evo, they got themselves the Mega Gengar. Oof, that's not good for us, especially since we are playing an EX Pokemon this time around. Ooh, we got ourselves a Mismagius, though. We will take that. We're just going to attach that there. We're going to attach this here. Let's use the town store to get ourselves another hand blower. Handheld Fan, whatever this part is called. And I'm going to attach the TM Evo to my Xerneas, allowing me to get the other two Mismagiuses out of my deck. There we go. And now my bench is full of Mismagiuses. And then next turn we can Iono and hopefully get ourselves an energy. I mean, that's pretty likely. Especially once I town store and get myself the other Handheld Fan for this Mismagius. I think we should be in good standings. Well, it took them a while, but they are going to take out my Xerneas with the help of the Reshiram on the bench. I would like to boss up that Reshiram. I think that would be my best move, but we're probably not. We got an Arven, but that's not going to really help us this time around. We could get ourselves the Earthen Vessel, though. Let me use that. Do I have one in the deck before I Arven? I do. Let's use that. Very much. I will use that. Or... here's what I could do. Here's what I'm going to do. No, why did I just do that? Because I don't have the energy. Ah, I was going to say I could have counter-catchered and got the... what do you call out? But that doesn't help me. Oh, I could prime catcher, though. That works. No, because I still don't have the energy. Damn it. The energy is the problem. All right. So let's Earthen Vessel. Let's get rid of this board. I don't really think I need it now. We have to attach this, unfortunately. I just need to confuse this Zoroark because he's just gonna attack me and knock me out. That's what I'm saying. Like, I definitely need, like, Mismagius. I don't know, guys. Honestly, I think Mismagius just isn't that good of a card. I really don't think so. Hence why people have not showcased this card yet. Because its ability is just underwhelming. I'm going to be honest with you. It really is. They could just Night Joker me right now and take me out because of Reshiram. What I could do, though, is I could use my hand-blown fan and move that energy to Reshiram. That's like my best bet. But yeah, the fact that Mismagius doesn't confuse as easily as you would like for it to makes it a very inconsistent card. And they are going to take out the Mismagius. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to promote this Mismagius with the Rescue Board. That way, in case of anything, I could just retreat. I'm going to try and get... Alright, let's do that. Do I have another Mismagius in the deck? I do. And we're going to get a Bonsly. Okay. Let's attach this fan to you. Let's... get my other... I don't have any other Mismagius. I just realized that. Okay. Well, let's just get the energy out for next turn. Let's retreat into Bonsly, and let's just start confusing. Hopefully they don't have Petra Run. I mean, that's not a bad thing if they have Petra Run, because then every time that they use Petra Run, they just get confused by Mismagius. But again, Mismagius has to be in the active position. So, I mean, this is probably going to be my last match for a couple reasons. One, I've been recording for a while now. I have to get dinner started. Like, I got things to do around the house. And two, I really don't think Mismagius is all that it's cracked up to be. I'm going to boss up my Mismagius. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, I think this is just a lose-lose situation, guys. And unfortunately, they bossed up the one without the hand-blown fan, so... my only saving grace is if they flip tails, then we could just retreat into this Mismagius and call it a day. They had a Turo. That's interesting that they got rid of the Turo. Oh, they're going to air balloon. That's going to bring in the Mega Gengar. Yep. Oh, no. I mean, the Mega Gengar gets confused because okay, that makes two Pokemon confused, and they're going to hit heads. Of course they are. Of course they are. All right. Well, they're probably going to put that energy onto the Zoroark. Yep. Alright, well, the good news is we can just Iono and bring them down to a one-card hand. Jeez Louise, I can't speak, I'm so disappointed right now. Let's do that. That's going to get us a hand size of 6, and they're going to get 1. That's good for us. Got a counter catcher, but that doesn't help me in this situation. And I guess we're just going to swing. And that's the end of that. So hopefully now what happens is my opponent just can't attack us and they just keep flipping tails with confusion. That's like literally my only saving grace. I mean, you're getting to see the full effect of this deck now that we're playing a full-on match instead of just my opponent losing like straight up. I mean, we had the Dragapult game, but even so, it's like, yeah. Oh, they're gonna poison the Gengar too. Even better. They'll probably retreat it though. There's no reason for them to stay in the active position while poisoned and confused. That doesn't seem like it would make the most sense. And like I said, if we somehow manage to get this Mega Gengar down, nope, we just lost. Okay, didn't matter anyway, because they're just gonna bring in Zoroark and take us out anyway. So yeah, we got completely washed in that game. And that's going to do it for my Mismagius EX deck. Like I said, guys, very underwhelming card. If the ability were better where every time your opponent's active Pokemon switched or every time a new Pokemon came into the active, whether it was your turn or your opponent's, and they got confused, this card would be absolutely phenomenal. But as it stands, Mismagius is kind of lackluster. I'm not going to lie to you guys, especially now with all the dark Pokemon in play with Gengar. Zoroark is making a comeback because the new Zekrom is coming out next set. It's just Mismagius is going to have a terrible time. I don't really think it's worth using, in my honest opinion. I'm glad that we got a couple wins and we were able to win our main objective, but we didn't even get close to our first side objective. We got pretty close with the second side objective, though. We got 2 Pokemon confused in most matchups, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, I think Mismagius needs a lot of work if you really want this thing to work for you. But maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm just not noticing something that is crucial to this Pokemon. But as a standalone card, Mismagius just does not work as a standalone card. I'm sorry to break it to you guys, but that's just my honest opinion. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.